Okay, we're going to start the meeting. Roll call. Mr. Delinquent.
Here.
Randy Spence.
Here.
Mr. Mattern.
Here.
Mr. Merriman.
Here.
Okay, stand for a moment of silence. Pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of the minutes. Make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll put forth the motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Second by Mr. Spence. Roll call. Mr. Delinquent.
Yay.
Mr. Spence.
Yay.
Mr. Merriman.
Yeah.
And Mr. Mattern.
Yay.
Okay, hold on. See.
Mayor, before we go any further, could I make a motion to go into executive committee session to discuss pending litigation?
Yes. So moved. Got a second?
Second.
Roll call. Mr. Delinquent.
Yay.
Mr. Spence.
Yay.
Mr. Mattern.
Yay.
Mr. Merriman.
Yeah.
Okay.
Motion to come out of executive session.
Second.
Roll call. Mr. Brad.
Yay.
Mr. Randy Spence.
Yes.
Mr. Mattern?
Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Merriman?
Yeah.
Okay. Next on the list here, appearing before council. Anybody out there want to speak to council, come forward, state your name, address where you live.
Robert Lockhart, your council representative, Steel Valley Regional Transit Authority, had a meeting tonight just to inform the council and the public. Beginning September 20th, there'll be a public meeting set up. It's going to be advertised on TV, paper, and other means, Facebook, whatever they can conjure up with regard to notification to the public. There'll be meetings, 2 meetings at night at a location. The public library is one in this general area. They'll be downtown, the Kennedy Center, apartment complex, and all this will be set out in the newspaper. In the near future, with regard to the entire transit system, there'll be an upgrade throughout the system. All of the signs will be placed indicating the actual location of stops. They'll all be coded with regard to directions, time factors, spot locations, so that when the apps, you download your app, you can actually go to that sign, that designated stop, like 89, 69, whatever they decide what will happen. And that way, you'll be able to determine where you want to go. The progress with regard to the transit system down in Wheeling, it looks like projection-wise, maybe something around October 11. Hopefully that, and a member of understanding with Franciscan University, those both memos will be completed, and then that will start the system. Whereby Wheeling will come up, meet our system down in the Rayland area, and then we'll transport people down there. So they had the benefit of going to the mall over at the Highlands at St. Clairsville. The people down south will be able to go up to the mall in Pittsburgh. And then subsequent to that, you'll actually be able to get buses to go to Monroeville out of the system they have in Pittsburgh once you get up there. So they're going to have intertwined the whole system, and it'll be a real benefit to our community here for people to get around. The cost is still $30. There'll be some charges with regard to going beyond, but they're minimal. They're $3. The figures will be the $3 to $5 range, both that they'll charge from Wheeling, that bus service, for you to go all the way out to the mall in Pittsburgh.
Robinson.
Our service here, you're going to pay a fee only once you get down there to go down to St. Clairsville and the mall over at the mall in East Wheeling. So those costs, other than that, for ours, it'll be $30. You go anywhere in the system. But generally speaking, those are the primary dates. The public meeting, September 20, and hopefully it looks like October 11 will be the time where all this transition will be completed. Signs will be up. You can see there are some new shelters that are in place around the area. They're slowly being obtained and purchased, and they'll be put up. But all of the stops in Wintersville, downtown, Pleasant Heights, up at the university, they'll all have signs where the stops will be located. So you won't have any problem there, hopefully. But the public meetings will help, I think, present to the people the whole picture. And if they have any questions, that's the time. I hope they show up. They had pretty successful meetings when they introduced it about a month and a half ago. And the people were enthused about the whole system so that they can get around, especially the people up at the college, university. Young people, that some of them don't have cars. They don't know the area that well. Now they get on a bus if they get the pass for $30. And some of the parents were amazed at that figure. But we've had close contact with the people up there and the representatives of Wheeling, Ohio River Transit System. So it's a system now that it looks good for this latter part of this year with regard to people getting and having access to good transportation means in the whole area. Okay?
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
No, good job.
Oh.
Gave you a thumbs up. Thanks, Bob.
Anyone?
Gary Smith, Powell's Lane, Wintersville.
Okay.
I'm here to talk about Main Street in a deplorable condition with these holes everywhere after people get the place paved. And I've been after Walt. We talked to Ron Ferguson trying to get these manholes raised up because one of these days you're going to have a motorcycle wreck and you guys are going to be getting sued big time. And up there at 43 and 22, that place is a disgrace up there. The gas companies had that thing torn up. They've been going to refix it, and then there's two holes up there. There's a manhole there in front of the Elite, and there's a manhole in front of my wife's rental house. And they've been there for 2 years. And then Luray Drive, been trying to get drainage put in there for 2 years, and nobody's ever done anything there. Walt finally got the west side done, but the east side's still no drainage. The manholes are a foot above the roadway there. So I'd just like to know what the plans are going to be, what we're going to do with these manholes. Why do you spend all this money in putting a new road in and then leave potholes in the middle of the road?
Well, first of all, we don't do the road. The state does the road, and manholes belong to the telephone company. So they're the ones have control over the manholes. We don't have no authority to mess with the manholes.
Oh, yes, you do have authority.
No, we don't.
Tell him, Walt.
Well, I still haven't spoken with Mr. Corey. That's what he's telling us, or that's what he told Mr. Ferguson, but I haven't confirmed that yet. And then the other question is, who's going to pay for it?
Well, the phone company or the AT&T or whoever, the power companies, they should be, why should the taxpayers in this state pay for a road to get put in and then you guys let them get away with this?
I understand that.
It's you guys' responsibility letting them get away with this.
They're like the railroads, though. They have pretty high-powered attorneys, and you just don't go in and damage
Well, then
their
blacktop
equipment.
over them.
It's a state road. We have nothing in that.
Yeah,
They paved it.
On Main Street, that's the state's road.
Okay, then what about 43 up there, that deplorable place in front of Duncan there?
That's a state highway, too.
That's all state.
But the gas company's still working on that. You know that. They haven't finished charging that section of line yet.
What about on 43, the county road there?
That's what we're talking about.
County road, we're,
On the west, west of the red light, west of Kroger's on the other side of Duncan. That's,
Okay, that is Village
is
Street
county
there.
road, and that-
No,
that-
no, that's the Village Street. The county has nothing
okay,
in
well,
it.
that thing's still a deplorable
Yeah,
mess.
they have to fix that too, where they didn't roll, they
Well,
put
you know,
cold
you're
mix
always
in there.
interested in all these ordinances and making ordinance after ordinance. Why don't you have an ordinance that if, when these guys get ready to do a manhole or dig a street up, they gotta put about a $25,000 bond up, and then these things would get repaired right away instead of putting it all on the taxpayers.
That would be a question for the solicitor, and it's not on the taxpayers. The company, NPL and the gas company, it's their responsibility to fix those.
What's on the taxpayers that are driving through hitting all these manholes.
Well, we just told you about the manholes, and once the telephone company notify us, we'll get that done. We can't mess with somebody else's property because you want one that's coming through and mess with your property, fixing something that's not ours. So the situation is, right now, they're gonna be dealing with the telephone company. If they give us permission to move them, or they move them, that will get moved. But we just can't go working on something that we don't belong to us.
Well, you're still responsible for the manholes, am I correct?
No, that's what I just
Well,
told
if a person wrecks on there and gets killed,
you. That's a telephone company. That's the telephone company because they own the manhole.
all right, then let's get to Luray Drive. When we gonna ditch Luray Drive?
We're gonna do whatever, right?
Ditch it. You know, put drainage ditch on the east side of Luray Drive.
Well, those things take money. We get grants as he get those coming in. So we don't have money. I mean, we just redid that road over there and the trucks just tore it up over there. I was back over there the other day.
The reason the truck's tearing it up because there's no drainage, Robert.
Well, that could be true, but the thing about when it still goes
Because
back
those
to
trucks
the-
aren't even loaded, they're all empty.
Oh, they're coming up, they don't have, they could be empty and still tear that road up. But I'm not gonna argue with you about that. All I'm gonna say is, we're looking into that, and then when we get that answered, then we'll back to you. Is that good enough?
But you got manholes over there that are a foot above the road for drainage.
Well, that's another
Now
thing.
that's-
Like I said, we didn't put the manholes in there. We will look into that situation, and we'll get back with you and let you know. You're not gonna get that answer tonight, but I will promise you, we will look into it, and then we'll get back to you. Come to the next meeting, we'll have an answer for you.
Next meeting, you have an
That'll be-
answer what
that'll
you're gonna
be in
do with Luray
October.
Drive.
It might not be the answer you like, but we'll have an answer.
It doesn't matter to me, it's your money, it's your roads, you're the one that gotta
Well,
fix
like I
it.
said, we'll deal with that. Okay?
All right, Robbie.
Thank you. Anyone else coming before council? Come on, Mr. Teason.
Good evening. T.C. Chapelier, Superintendent of Indian Creek School District. I just wanted to come tonight and invite you all to our, we have two dedications next week. We have a dedication of Cross Creek Elementary School on Wednesday at 6 p.m. And then we have our dedication of Hills Elementary School on Thursday evening, 6 p.m. Also wanted to give you guys a calendar. On the calendar, you'll see invitations to those. Those dedications are open to the public. Also, just wanted to say thank you. You know, we always get great cooperation from the village when we're opening school, and I know it hasn't been. We only have one school now on that campus, but it still seems to be hectic because of all the construction, and I know that it's been difficult. You know, with some of the traffic there, especially it seems like at pickup time. I think all that will work itself out here as the traffic pattern goes back to normal over there and we get a little more use of the parking there at the high school. You know, just to let you all know, our elementary kids start on the 7th, on Tuesday. And then, you know, our high school project is still on schedule. We're looking at a March opening there for the high school. So, you know, if you drive up in there and look, it's pretty, it looks pretty good right when you drive up in there. They're getting close to having that building enclosed. You know, that's their goal, is to get that enclosed so they can continue to work throughout the weather. They're also trying to finish up a lot of the site work right now so that when we move into March, it's going to be ready to go. So, and I just thought if you guys have any questions about our projects or about what's going on,
Well, I think
Entertain this.
those guys are doing an amazing job up there. Me and my wife ride through there every now and then, you know, see progress. We go there a week later. I mean, it's amazing. that they are on, they might not be where you want them to be right now, but they look like they're progressing. It's going to be a beautiful school. When it's get done, I'm waiting to come to the open house, when they're all finished, to check them out. But right now, I think that's a plus to the community. I'm glad, we got that school levy passed. It was no easy task. A lot of work went into it, working together with the different people. So you guys, I think it's going to be, I'm sure your enrollment already picked up already. So, the people that's coming there. So that's a good thing. I think we can balance the scales with our neighbors downtown. So that is good. And I appreciate you coming tonight, DC, and speaking to us. And anybody else have anything to say, Mr. Matter?
Just to tie in Mr. Smith and yourself, sometimes when you have progress or plan for progress, sometimes you have to take a step back. Sometimes there's some delays and sometimes there's some inconveniences, short term, okay? But in the long term, roads getting fixed, manholes getting addressed, traffic patterns getting addressed, those are things that really help this community together to grow. So continued success. I see we're down by 1 point right now, but that'll change. And, best of luck to you, TC. I also will say I do get some regular updates from Bob Smith of what's happening there. I ran into Bob Smith at this little outing somebody had a couple weeks ago, and he was in good shape. So Bob Smith reps you guys as well as
I would agree.
as anybody does. Thanks, Jabby.
No problem.
When's the first home football game?
September 24th.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Because I know you guys been.
Yeah, we were
moving around.
supposed to be home tonight, and the stadium's not quite ready yet.
Yeah.
And so Brooke was willing to allow that home game to be played over at their stadium. So, but yeah, September 24th, that'll be week 6, homecoming, and it's against Bel Air.
Well, that's good. I'm sure the homecoming girls are allowed to be able to have their homecoming this year. And anybody else have any
Bob?
questions? Yeah, Mr. Mayor.
I'd like to thank you, too, for you guys donating the playground equipment to us.
Oh, no problem. Yeah, we're glad to see that going to use.
Yes.
Yeah, and thank you for bringing that up. And I've been trying to get hold of him for the last 3 weeks. I don't know. He told me he had a couple other jobs to do, but he told me he's going to start removing that on August 15th. Maybe he got a little tied up. If you could reach out
Oh,
to
the
him.
weather's been tough, too.
Okay. If you want to reach out to him, because I know me and Mr. Belt been talking, and I don't know how far away you are to work on that part of your project. I just want to make sure that's out of there before it's too late, because I definitely want that. We already got the budget passed, to do that project. So if you could reach out to him, maybe you can help out a little bit. I appreciate it.
Okay, I'll mention that to Mr. Belt.
All right, thank you.
I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to give you guys a calendar. Then I'll set the rest on the bench over there if anybody would like to grab one. Help yourself. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Okay, we can move on to the next.
Thank you.
Oh, anybody else? Anybody else that want to come up and speak on? Thank you. Speak tonight. Feel welcome to do that.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, Denise, you want to read the ordinance? We're going to have some suspension of the rules tonight, so we'll have to ask for
You
that.
want them all suspended?
Yeah.
Okay. The first is ordinance 2021-17, an ordinance repealing ordinance number 2021-02, declaring that a 2011 Ford Crown Victoria used by the Village Police Department is no longer needed for municipal purpose. This is a second read, so I need a motion to suspend the rules.
So move.
Second.
Is this a pressing issue? Do we have to suspend the rules, or?
I'm just doing what's happening.
I know.
We're gonna, Chief want these to move along so we can try to move this car, get rid of it and sell it. So it's important enough to him to do it. That's why we're bringing it up. So roll call.
Okay. Roll call. Mr. Degenkolb?
Yay.
Mr. Spence?
Yay.
Mr. Mattern?
Yay.
Mr. Merriman?
Yeah.
And the third read of ordinance 2021-17, an ordinance repealing ordinance 2021-02, declaring that the 2011 Ford Crown Victoria used by the Village Police Department is no longer needed for municipal purposes. This is the third read. I need a motion to approve.
Motion to approve ordinance
Second.
2021-17.
Mr. Degenkolb?
Yay.
Mr. Spence?
Yay.
Mr. Mattern?
Yay.
Mr. Merriman?
Yeah.
Ordinance 2021-18, an ordinance declaring that the 2008 Chevy Tahoe, VIN number 1GN FK0300008R170843, is no longer needed for the municipal purpose, and authorizing the sale of said vehicle as to the highest and best bidder in accordance with Section 721.15 of the Ohio Revised Code. This is a second read. I need a motion to suspend the rules.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Dakenkolb?
Yay.
Mr. Spence?
Yay.
Mr. Matterin?
Yay.
Mr. Merriman?
Yay.
Third read, ordinance 2021-18, an ordinance declaring that the 2008 Chevy Tahoe, VIN number 1GNFK0300008R170843, is no longer needed for any municipal purpose, and authorizing the sale of said vehicle as is to the highest and best bidder in accordance with Section 721.15 of the Ohio Revised Code. This is a third read. I need a motion.
Motion to approve ordinance 2021-18.
Second.
Mr. Dakenkolb?
Yay. Yay.
Mr. Spence?
Yay.
Mr. Matterin?
Yay.
Mr. Merriman?
Yay.
A few more. Ordinance 2021-19, an ordinance placing, to place grass cutting on the real estate taxes. This is a first read. I need a motion to suspend the rules.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Dakenkolb?
Yay.
Mr. Spence?
Yay.
Mr. Matterin?
Yay.
Mr. Merriman?
Yay.
Is this an annual thing?
Yes.
Okay.
Generally, we take them down to the auditor right after Labor Day.
Okay.
So we're going to do ordinance 2021-19. This is going to be the second and third read. An ordinance to place grass cutting on taxes, real estate taxes. This is the second and third read.
Motion to approve ordinance 2021-19.
Second.
Second.
Mr. Dakenkolb?
Yay.
Mr. Spence?
Yay.
Mr. Matterin?
Yay.
Mr. Merriman?
Yay.
Ordinance 2021-20, an ordinance for delinquent water fees to be placed on property taxes. This is a first read. I need a motion to suspend the rules.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Dakenkolb?
Yay.
Mr. Spence?
Yay.
Mr. Matterin?
Yay.
Mr. Merriman?
Yay.
Okay, we're going to do ordinance 2021-21. I'm losing my place here. -2020, an ordinance for delinquent
A lot
water
of 20s.
fees to be placed on the property taxes. This is the second and third read.
Motion to approve ordinance 2021-20.
21.
No, 20.
No, this
20, I was
on
still on
what?
20.
Still doing.
Yeah, we're still on the water.
Yeah. Mr. Dakenkolb?
Yay.
Mr. Spence?
Yay.
Mr. Matterin?
Yay.
Mr. Merriman?
Yay.
Ordinance 2021-21, an ordinance for delinquent sewer fees to be placed on property taxes. This was the first read. I need a motion to suspend the rules.
Motion to suspend the rules.
Second.
Mr. Dakenkolb?
Yay.
Mr. Spence?
Yay.
Mr. Matterin?
Yay.
Mr. Merriman?
Yay.
Ordinance 2021-21, an ordinance for delinquent sewer fees to be placed on property taxes. This is the second and third read.
Motion to approve ordinance 2021-21.
Second.
Mr. Dakenkolb?
Yay.
Mr. Spence?
Yay.
Mr. Matterin?
Yay.
Mr. Merriman?
Yay.
And the final one, ordinance 2021-22, an ordinance for delinquent sanitation fees to be placed on property taxes. This was the first read. I need a motion to suspend the rules.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Dakenkolb?
Yay.
Mr. Spence?
Yay.
Mr. Matterin?
Yay.
Mr. Merriman?
Yay.
This will be the second and third read of ordinance 2021-22, an ordinance for delinquent sanitation fees to be placed on property taxes. This is the second and third read. I need a motion to suspend the rules.
So move.
Second.
Mr. Dakenkolb?
Yay.
Mr. Spence?
Yay.
Mr. Matterin?
Yay.
Mr. Merriman?
Yay.
That all?
Well, you need a motion to approve ordinance
Yeah,
2021-22.
Yeah.
And then we're ready to roll.
Okay,
Okay.
ordinance
That's the
2021.
last one.
Yeah.
Did I do
Yeah,
the
yeah.
final read?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, final read, yeah. So we're good, right?
Yep. So you got a motion to approve. All right, Mayor, back to you.
Okay.
That was a lot of 20s and 21s and 22s, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
that's what I'm saying. I'm afraid you getting that. You confused me over matter. You added one.
Don't forget
All right.
about the 19.
Okay, now we're going to move on to reports and announcements and communication. And I'm going to do it the police report. Okay, monies collected from old fines, January 2016 to August 2021, $119,374. monies collected August 2nd, 4, 5, and 16, total amount coming to $350. So Art, take my hat off to you for getting all these monies collected that wasn't supposed to be able to be collected. Appreciate your efforts. Okay, monthly report, complaints 125, incoming calls 181, accidents 8, cases 19, alarm calls 20, juvenile cases 10, traffic arrests 45, criminal arrests 4, parking violation 0, vehicle impound 3, out of town assist 2, stolen bikes 0, dog bites 0, missing person 0, auxiliary 26, K9 use 1, respectively submitted by Chief Art Filer. Permits. From August 1st to August 31st, Tom Stryker, code enforcer, 15 licenses for $1,125, 9 permits for $361.40, making a total of $1,486.40 for the month of August. Mayor's court report. Total for the city, $5,677.50. Total for the state, $1,024. Other totals, $52. In current period, $6,753.50. Okay. At this time, before I do the administration report, a couple of things I'm going to bring up. In our last meeting, we had a very nice award service for the police officers. I thought it was very outstanding for them to get recognized for the things that they do. And the chief getting recognized from the state for his promotion and his things that he got it for. And also, while I'm here, the chief did approach me about an officer, Jesse Cassidy, retired, and he's wanting to make some changes to change his base so that the officers that can get moved up and also to have a very enticed base so that he could get new offers to apply. Chief, that's going to be going to the Finance Committee. And once the Finance Committee and Walt and Denise get together and tell us that we can do this without any restraints on the village, and it's coming out of your budget, then we'll move forward with that. Okay? All right, next.
Is that for new officers or officers already on the police department?
This is for, his base will be for
He's saying both.
the new officers, and the other part of that will be for officers that are already on the force and in leadership positions. So once that get to the Finance Committee, and Walt and Denise and look over all your numbers, we'll have that decision whether they want to move forward with that, okay? Thank you.
Just to follow up real quick, Randy, I think we briefly touched on that during a finance meeting. We had a couple things like that.
Right.
Nothing, I think Art just brought up some ideas.
Right.
I don't think we have it, he probably has a more defined plan of what he wants to
Okay.
bring up in front.
Yeah.
I don't think anything's been decided yet, but he's got to bring on up to us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I spoke on it.
Yeah, I knew it was mentioned before, but the
Yeah.
way it was explained before was different. There was a different explanation.
Yeah, I don't know what's getting presented, so I don't know if it's changed.
That's why it's going to go to Finance.
Yeah.
And once Finance did make a decision, along with our administrator, myself, and our clerk, then we'll move forward. You know, we want to make sure everything is in order, and we did talk about this at length, me and Art. And I think that it's something that's needed, but, you know, we have to look it over. That's only protocol, okay? All right, Administrator, what?
First item, the Phase 5 sanitary sewer update. We're doing our final walkthrough on September the 15th. As of right now, I know there's several restoration issues that need to be looked at, and one of the lift stations is still waiting on some sort of a hanger to keep the floats separated from tangling up. Other than that, the fencing, the paving, all the collection system work has been completed. I jumped the gun a little bit last meeting. Was basing my price for the guardrail replacement on Caddis Road and Main Street on the county's cost, which I was told they would hold very close to that. They raised the guardrail price by $10 a foot simply because it's in the village and they're unsure about utility lines and additional traffic control. So instead of $15,000, the contract you see on the next page is for $21,440. And I'd like to have that approved. As I said, that guardrail on both spots needs it. Basically, 500 feet, it went from $20 a foot to $31.50. The other prices are fairly exactly what they had quoted the county. So
Need a motion?
So make a motion for $21,440 for the guardrail replacement on Main.
Second.
Mr. Degenkolb?
Yay.
Mr. Spence?
Yay.
Mr. Mattern?
Yay.
Mr. Merriman?
Yeah.
again, as per the state auditors for item 3, like to get a contract approved for Mr. McDivitt for our meter project, approved by Public Works, and the cost for preliminary engineering, final design, plan specifications, bid documents, construction inspection, $103,100. This is an approximately $1 million project, and this is what OPWC has in their project agreement for this project. So I'd like to get that approved.
Motion.
So move.
Second.
Mr. Degenkolb?
Yay.
Mr. Spence?
Yay.
Mr. Mattern?
Yay.
Mr. Merriman?
Yeah.
Okay, also, we may have it sometime within the next month or more. We'll be getting ready to go out to bid with this meter project. We need 3 ordinances. We'll talk more with Chris. I would like to get a water sewer committee set up, maybe after I talk with Chris, because we need a mandatory connection. Everybody has to have these new radio read meters. For the meter wells, where the meters already are, there's an antenna on those. We want to have a fee if the residents mow them off or damage them. First time is okay, second time we need to charge them. And I think it's around $25, but I'll get a fair, firm price on that. And the third item is, Justin and I were going over some things. We talked about this several years ago, didn't want to make a expenditure on property owners, on renters, but there's 29, 2 or 3 are apartments, and I don't think we can do them, but there's 26 other places that have multiple meters, but only one shutoff. Some of them would be going like from my house to Robbie's house, or his to mine, and if I don't pay my bill, we can't shut off my water without shutting off his. There needs to be two taps. And a couple of the apartments, I don't think it can be done. We may have to work out a different type of arrangement there. But for these homes, we need to talk more about that and see if some of them are too much of a plumbing expense, but it's not fair to the other residents that, you know, we can't shut off someone without shutting off a person who's paying. So that's another one I want to bring up as part of this, and we'll get more information.
And if it is a rental situation and somebody bails on a water bill, the renter would then have to pay it before you turn it back on. Is that?
Well, most of the time, yes.
Yeah.
Or, you know, we're going to put it on the landlord's taxes or have him
Yeah.
pay.
So
But it
ultimately-
just causes
Yeah, it
friction.
could be a benefit for the
Yes,
landlord
exactly.
to allow this to happen too.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay, next item, we've talked with the mayor, Mr. Merriman, Denise, briefly about planning ahead and not being stuck if an employee goes down sick or some leave or retire unexpectedly. We're kind of without, particularly in the snow removal end. And up here in this office, unfortunately, some of our employees are getting older. Don't look at me. But I'd like to hire 3 full-time employees, one in the water front office and the code enforcer's office. 90% of that would be paid from water, sewer, and sanitation, which funds are fine. 10% out of the general fund for that person. One in the sewer department, because possibly Bruce, with his health issues, he'll be leaving at the first of the year. And for safety's sake, we need another person down there. For one in the lab, 2 need to go out to the lift stations or whatnot. And number 3, we need a street department person with a CDL. As you know, our superintendent is out with a serious injury, and he will not be able to retain his CDL. We have 2 others that are nearing retirement age, and as we've mentioned in our talks, all of these people need to be trained and be ready to go in. The street department is the one we'll have to look at the funds the most. The water code office person in the front office and the sewer department, we have those funds. I'd like to get a couple of those in within the next month to 6 weeks while this new meter project is going, so they can be trained also. The street department one, if we could find a CDL driver with the snow season coming up, at least to break him in gradually and get him to know the routes. That's the other thing, and maybe get some experience with one of either Vern or Chucky riding with him, particularly with the steepness of the hills we have.
So just to elaborate a little bit on that, the reason I spoke to Walt about this, we had a person in the past had a lot of knowledge of what went on in this village, and we ended up losing him because he passed, and he took a lot of knowledge with him. So I don't want to get stuck again with that happening. We got some senior members on this team, and when they leave, I want to have somebody ready to fill their shoes. So this is one of the reasons why this is a necessary move that we want to make. So we're asking council to approve this tonight so we can move forward. Snow season's coming, and we need to have all the drivers in place. So we need to do this immediately.
Other than the CDL requirement, the other 2 positions are entry level, no certifications?
No, correct. There's no certifications in the front office, code office at all. Just, they'll be learning a new system, which would be good because they'll be right on. And at the sewer department, they're basically learning what to do at the wastewater plant, plus all the lift stations, if there would be any overflows, any plugs in the manholes,
And
all that type of stuff.
what do we bring them on as?
The water code office is $12.50, the sewer is $11, and the CDL driver, we talked about $14. That's what we brought the last CDL, Mr. Zink, in at $14, and we had trouble finding people at that. As you well know, the oil and gas people have pretty much taken every CDL driver available. I know talking with Water Transport has asked me if any of our guys are retiring because they don't want drivers. It's just
It's a hot
crazy
market.
out there.
It's a hot market. So can we get a motion on that?
So moved.
Second, I would say when you bring somebody on, there's a probationary period, and then they would come up before council for our approval for this job at that point.
Correct.
Is that
6
correct?
months.
Are you creating a new position inside the hierarchy inside, or are they filling one that's voided open now?
The water and code would be a new position. Sewer will be an existing position. Street department, I guess you can say it's a new position.
Do you need to have a meeting to update that before you hire them or not?
No, I think
No?
it's all, with you approving the hiring, that does it.
Listen, it's tough to get help out there. I totally understand it. So I don't want to hold up the
That's-
potential
yeah.
bringing somebody
That's why we
on.
want to start now.
And then, with the understanding, we will have the ultimate decision here to approve
Correct,
this.
yeah, and
when it
we'll
passes
have
inspection.
a
Okay,
report on how they're doing.
I'll definitely second the motion.
Mr. Dakenkope?
Yay.
Mr. Spence?
Yay.
Mr. Mattern?
Yay.
Mr. Merriman?
Yay.
Art, I got a question for you. What do you bring the starting patrolman in at?
Randy, Art, we'll deal with that later. Let's get this business taken care of first. And Randy, we could discuss that. We're out of order.
The next item, I'm going to skip the dozer again till the next meeting. We've got several other projects to do. You've already received the Indian Creek Open House invitations. That's in your packet. Thank you again. And we had a water break this morning on Dana Lynn. Perfectly nice, dry day. Probably a hole about this big in the pipe. They had it pretty much done and backfilled right after lunch. It did get into one gentleman's basement. We're going to look at getting a quote on, we probably had 3 breaks in that section of line. It just seems brittle. So we may get a quote on replacing from maybe Parkview to the corner of Dana Lynn and Susan. It seems to be just, there was no sand backfill or anything on this line, so I don't know if a rock rubbed through it or what, but the guys did a good job.
Yes, they did.
Thank goodness it was warm getting it done. The only other item I have not on your packet, we have an audit exit conference next Thursday at 10 a.m. Unfortunately, I don't know, Denise maybe will explain more. It's online somehow or on the phone. I think we have a way to get into it.
It's a
which,
WebEx.
you know, I don't know anything about, so.
It's not that hard. That's actually, somebody can help you out. It's not.
I'll need it. But Denise
be in here
is in charge, so that's
all
beyond
good.
my capabilities.
So,
That's all I have,
all
Mayor.
right, thank you. Okay, any unfinished business?
No.
Okay. New business?
I got a question on old business.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Is there,
You just said old business, right?
yeah, is there a list?
No.
Oh, okay. I think so.
Last year, the previous administration put the boroughs up on Parkview. And council voted to make that street a one-way street. So
No, they did not.
we had a motion
No.
to make it a one-way
I
street.
looked at the minutes, they did not.
Yeah, it's not that.
They did not.
Only
It's
thing
not
we-
in the minutes.
What we did on that street, Randy, we put barrels, and they didn't vote to do it, but we just made it a one-way street, but it wasn't a vote. You can go back and look at the minutes. If I'm wrong, then I'll stand corrected, but we made that a safety wall, basically, for that to go down one way and one way only. But it was never a vote taken on that. And if you find it, bring it to me.
I remember it, that we voted on it and made it a one-way.
When you said that last meeting, I looked at the meeting before.
And I just wanted to make sure we weren't liable if there's an accident,
No,
on
we
a
just
two-way
did-
street.
Yeah.
The
That's
last,
why I brought it up.
okay, the last meeting I had with that residents over there, then we sit up here and I asked them, they wanted the road open, so.
Right.
We chose to open the road. I asked them to raise their hands, so whoever wanted the road open. And all the council, you were sitting there along with all the rest. And we made that road come back open, for the people, so they wouldn't be inconvenienced. I talked to the engineer, and he said that could come down 2 years from now, it could be 3 years. I don't know when it's gonna come down. So, but anyway, it's open back up. If the people choose to drive it, they can. If they don't choose to drive it, they could go where they think it.
Anybody else remember it?
I don't.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure we weren't liable for a
I'll look
one-way
again.
street and it's two-way.
At the minutes, I'll look again.
Yeah.
I
'cause
did look.
I thought okay.
All right. Any new business? Mr. Dayton?
The only thing I have is I put in your packet, I help with the Wednesdays in Wintersville Committee, and they, unfortunately, some of the representatives couldn't be here tonight with us. But in your packet, I had them just send me just a quick update of things they've been working on. I'm not going to read it verbatim. I'll let you kind of take a look at it, and it talks about what's been happening and where things are moving forward. And then if you have any questions, get in touch with myself, Joel, Mary, Mike Petrella, and or Lori. So far, just a fantastic event. We had to push it back because of the weather this previous Wednesday, and then I think there was some scheduling conflicts for next Wednesday, so it's now going to be held on the 15th of September. So, but everybody should have a copy, and any questions, feel free to get in touch. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Spence?
Yeah, I just wanted to follow what Brad said, that they want to follow up with a scarecrow contest in October. I'd like to see everybody get involved. It's going to benefit the 4-H club, just for materials to build these, and then you can take it from there. On new business, what is the, do we have a number, or what's the protocol for a water line break that happens, like, say, 7 o'clock on a Saturday evening.
What do you mean?
Oh, if, say if a resident doesn't have water, doesn't have pressure, or they visibly see a water
They
line break.
generally call 911. 911 notifies either Perry, Vernon, or Justin. And they
Okay.
call out the crews.
The reason why I was asking, because they called this morning early, and they didn't
They
get
had
you.
called 911 too, someone.
Yeah, they did.
Okay.
Okay,
But that's the way it works.
okay,
That all?
that's it. Oh, one more.
Yes.
One more. We spoke a while ago about the water runoff behind Terrace.
Yes,
That's private property.
I got an update on.
Yeah, that's what I was
when it
asking.
comes around to me.
Okay, Mr. Manning.
First thing, with the Wintersville Wednesdays, Brad, I agree, and Randy, I agree, it's been a nice success. The one thing I would say is communication would be the key, just to make sure the security of all the visitors that would be on up there. It is a growing event, and with it's going to be a learning curve, so we look forward to, wrapping up a strong year with that event and, really getting it rolling next year as well. With the 911 phone calls, there was a tractor trailer down my street, at 4:30 in the morning. And you just, for those kind of events on off-duty times, so to say, 911 said, "Hey, Jason, how you doing?" It says, send the cops on over, and they get things rolling. So inside the Jefferson County 911 call center, somehow they have some hierarchy where they call Perry or whoever needs it going on through. So that's worked in the past. I would believe it worked in the future. Last week, several police officers were recognized, and the meeting ended. I didn't get to say anything, but boy, last week was really something to witness. We had an outstanding group of incredible individuals with incredible character. And they were well-deserved of that praise and recognition that was bestowed upon them. Without a doubt, this entire police department, the first responders in Wintersville, and our street departments are, the heart and the backbone of this community. They do a great job, and I just want to give a hats off formally for all those that were recognized last week. On Terrace, okay? So there's some flooding happening in some back roads back there. And what I did was I asked Brandon Andreessen from Jefferson County Water and Soil and Water, just to go take a look at that creek. And afterwards, he gave me a little debriefing and gave me some pictures like I like to share the administration. I didn't know that stream going back there actually collected 82 acres of runoff. Okay, so that collects, and 82 acres is a lot of runoff. To go through there. It collects the hospital on Fernwood, it collects Kroger's, Eisenhower, it's a lot of water that goes through there, okay? And it's time to, he went on down and checked it on out. What he did see was a lot of debris that was in there. Some of it would be with some washout, some of it is not, okay? Some of it is stumps thrown in there. Some of it's human, picnic tables in there. And when individuals throw stuff in this creek and drainage situation, it'll overflow, okay? So Brandon did say that there are things that we absolutely cannot do. But there are things that we can do, and it may involve getting Jefferson County Soil and Water and some other regulatory agencies involved to how to clean it out, to how to have that done. So there is an issue over there. I'm going to give us a little packet on over, but we should really get a hold of Brandon and follow his experience. He's willing to help out, but there are things we can do, but there are things that we better not do moving forward, or else we'd be in a very difficult situation. The other thing I want to say is prayers for Perry Poole and his family there on his current issues. And also, talked about Bob Smith. He attended a little golf outing conducted by the guy to my right, which is a great event over at Stillwell Country Club with great intentions. So it was good to see Indian Creek represented in that effort. I'm sure Bob is too humble to talk about it, but it was a great event that goes to a great cause. And other than that, we would want to put forth at this point a recommendation coming out of the executive session to throw out Want to just now,
Wait,
let Bob go?
Yeah, he'll do that, and then I'll do.
You have anything?
Yeah, everything. Okay, before we do that, I want to ask and I think everybody spoke on that matter, wanted to speak on it, didn't, but we'll go ahead and make that recommendation from the attorney.
Yeah, based on a recommendation of the attorney, I'd like to put forth a recommendation for him to move forward with an injunction, and it would be wrapped around an ordinance that we have with the village. Let me see if I got the number written down here. It was 1157.02 regarding zoning in R1. That's what I'd like to recommend.
Okay, need a motion on that?
I'll put forth the motion.
Okay, second. Second. Roll call.
Mr. Takencult,
I'll abstain.
Mr. Spence.
Yay.
Mr. Mavern.
Yay.
Mr. Merriman.
Thank you. Okay, any transfers?
No, sir.
Okay, motion to pay the bill?
So moved.
So moved. Second.
Mr. Takencult.
Yay.
Mr. Spence.
Yay.
Mr. Mavern.
Yay.
Mr. Merriman.
Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Takencult.
Yay.
Mr. Spence.
Yay.
Mr. Mavern.
Yay.
Mr. Merriman.